Just outside the town of Hollow Creek, past the dead cornfields and rusting barbed wire fences, sat the Lancaster Farm. It was a place that seemed to exist in a different time, a relic of a past long forgotten. The farm was a haunting sight, with its dilapidated barn and eerie abandoned farmhouse standing as silent sentinels to a mystery that had plagued the town for decades. It had been abandoned for over 50 years. The once thriving fields were now overgrown with weeds, and the farmhouse itself was a crumbling ruin, its windows shattered and its walls covered in ivy. The air around the farm was thick with the scent of decay, a constant reminder of the life that had once flourished there. No one dared go near it. The locals avoided the farm like the plague, their fear rooted in the chilling tales that had been passed down through generations. It was said that the farm was cursed, that anyone who ventured too close would be met with a fate worse than death. Locals whispered about the Lancaster family who had disappeared one autumn night. The family had been well known in the town, their sudden disappearance sending shockwaves through the community. Theories and rumors abounded, but no one knew for sure what had happened to them. The sheriff found the house empty, the dinner table still set, the food rotting on their plates. It was as if the family had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind a scene frozen in time. The sight of the decaying food was a stark reminder of the life that had been abruptly cut short. Their livestock were gone, their horses found tied up in the barn, dead, eyes wide open, mouths frozen in a scream. The sight was horrifying. The animals' lifeless bodies a grim testament to the terror that had befallen the farm. But what scared the town most was what happened after. The farm seemed to take on a life of its own, strange occurrences, becoming a regular part of the local folklore. People claimed to see figures in the windows, ghostly apparitions that would appear and disappear in the blink of an eye, their presence sending chills down the spines of those who witnessed them. Others swore they heard footsteps on the roof, the sound of something dragging through the dirt. These eerie sounds would echo through the night, adding to the farm's sinister reputation. That was enough to tempt Ryan, Olivia, and Cody into checking it out. The trio had always been drawn to the supernatural, their curiosity often leading them into situations that others would avoid. They arrived at sundown, their flashlights barely piercing the growing darkness. The farm loomed before them, its shadowy form a stark contrast against the fading light of the day. The air smelled of decay and burnt wood. The scent was overpowering, a nauseating mix that made their stomachs churn. The front door was ajar, creaking in the breeze. It was an ominous invitation, the sound echoing through the stillness of the night. "This place feels wrong," Olivia muttered. Her voice was barely above a whisper, her unease palpable. Ryan chuckled, stepping inside. "It's just a house." His bravado was a thin veneer, masking the fear that gnawed at the edges of his mind. But it didn't feel like a house. It felt like a tomb, a place where the past lingered, refusing to let go. The walls were covered in deep scratches, marks that looked like they had been made by something with claws, something that had fought desperately to escape. The furniture was overturned, the floors coated in thick layers of dust, except for a single trail of footprints leading upstairs. The sight was unnerving, the footprints a silent testament to the presence of something or someone else in the house. Cody swallowed hard. "We're not alone." His voice trembled, the fear evident in his eyes. A floorboard creaked above them. Then the whispering started. Not from upstairs, from inside the walls. The sound was faint at first, barely audible, but it grew louder, more insistent, as if whatever was inside the walls was trying to communicate with them. Ryan shined his flashlight toward the staircase. "Hello?" The whispering stopped. The sudden silence was deafening, the tension in the air almost tangible. Then heavy footsteps pounded down the stairs. The sound was loud, echoing through the empty house, each step a reminder of the unseen presence that lurked within. But there was no one there. The staircase was empty, the source of the footsteps a mystery. Olivia grabbed Ryan's sleeve. "We need to go!" Her voice was urgent, her fear palpable. The kitchen door slammed shut. The sound was loud, jarring, a stark contrast to the silence that had preceded it. The house was sealing them in. The realization was terrifying, the sense of entrapment overwhelming. Cody bolted for the front door, but it wouldn't budge. "It's locked! It's freaking locked!" His voice was panicked, his attempts to open the door growing more frantic with each passing second. Then the radio crackled to life. The sound was unexpected, startling, the static filling the room with an eerie noise. A deep, rasping voice whispered, "You shouldn't be here." The kitchen lights flickered. The voice was menacing, its words a chilling warning. A shadow stretched across the floor, tall, gangly, moving even though nothing was there. The sight was surreal, the shadow's movements unnatural, as if it were a living entity. Then came the sound of hooves scraping against wood. The noise was slow, deliberate, each scrape sending a shiver down their spines. Slow, deliberate, coming from the barn outside. Something was in there. The realization was terrifying. The thought of what might be lurking in the barn filling them with dread. Ryan grabbed a chair and smashed it through the window. The glass shattered, cold night air rushing in. "Go!" he yelled. His voice was urgent, the need to escape overriding all other thoughts. They scrambled out, glass cutting into their hands. The pain was sharp, but it was a small price to pay for their freedom. As they ran toward the car, Olivia glanced back and screamed. The sight that met her eyes was horrifying, a nightmare come to life. A figure stood in the doorway. Its presence was menacing, its form a dark silhouette against the light from the house. No eyes, no mouth, just empty black hollows where a face should be. It watched them run. The sight was terrifying, the figure's faceless form a haunting image that would stay with them forever. They didn't stop until they were miles away. The fear drove them, the need to put as much distance between themselves and the farm as possible. The next day, the sheriff checked the farm. His investigation was thorough, his determination to uncover the truth unwavering. There were no footprints, no shattered window. The farm was as it had always been, untouched by the events of the previous night, as if they had never been there at all. The realization was unsettling, the thought that their experience had been erased from existence a chilling one. That night, Olivia's phone vibrated with a notification. She opened it. The sight that met her eyes was shocking, a reminder of the nightmare they had just escaped. A picture of her, Ryan, and Cody, standing in front of the farmhouse. The image was clear, the three of them captured in a moment of fear and uncertainty, taken from inside the house. The realization was terrifying, the thought that someone, or something, had been watching them from within the house, a chilling one. Have you ever found yourself hopelessly lost, confused, and feeling like you were being watched? The feeling is unsettling, a constant reminder of the unknown dangers that lurk in the shadows. Beware, there are terrifying and mysterious beings that few have ever seen and lived to talk about. These entities exist in the periphery of our reality, their presence a constant threat to those who dare to venture too close. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles, if you dare. The invitation was clear, a call to those who crave the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of the supernatural.